Let's create account detail page. If we see account detail page, the layout is similar to the login page. Some of the differences are it has a menu and an account overview card. I am going to use the same login screen code to build account details page. Here, we need to make two changes. First, replace login card with account overview card, and second, add menu to the header. Let's create a file first. I am going to name it as account.html. Now copy the code from login.html and paste it in the account.html file we just created. Here is the code for login card. Let's remove it. Here, we will create a new card for account details. There is a shortcut to create div with a class, card. Write .card and press tab. Let's refresh the page. As you can see, here is the empty card. As you can see in account overview card, we have a title and a table. Let's create the HTML elements. First we will create a div. I will label it as account overview. Now, let's create a table tag. Inside this table tag we will create a tr and two tds. First will be name, and second one, we will make it Jane Doe. Let's copy and paste to make 3 more TRs. I will label them as account type, savings. That account number, let's make it 1122334455. For the last one, let's make it account balance and let's set it $5,000. Let's refresh the page. This is how our table looks. Let's add some CSS to style it. For account overview, I am going to set the background color as black and font color as white to make it visible. I will set a padding of 5 pixels and font weight as bold. Let's copy these styles. I will create a class card title and paste the style here. Let's add the class name in the respective div. For account details table, let's set the class name as account details. Let's add the class in our CSS file, account detail. Let's add a width of 70 VW. Now, let's add some style to our TR and TDs. I want a border bottom of 1 pixel, solid light gray. Let's add some padding. I will add a padding of 5 pixels. Now, let's refresh the page. As you can see, it looks better now. Now, let's create our menu. As I have told you earlier, we can achieve menus like these using absolute and relative positioning. For this, basically I have to position an absolute menu inside a relative container. As you can see here, we have an initials JD and a menu div. And inside the menu div, we have all these elements, name, email, account overview, and so on. Let's create our menu. First let's create a div inside the header. I will label it JD. Let's create another div inside it. This will be our menu. The first item in the menu will be user information. The first element inside user information will be username, Jane Doe. Then the user email, janedoe@gmail.com. Now we will add 5 menu items. For each item, I will create an anchor tag. Let's set href equals account.html. I will label it account overview. Similarly, we will create 4 more items. Let's name them. Add payee, online pay. Then, transaction, and the last one will be sign out. As you can see, all these 5 items are pointing to account.html. But once we are done with creating pages for all these sections, we will put the respective links here. Now, let's add these icons to the menu. First let's go to the Font Awesome CDN. Here are the links. Click on the first link tag to copy the link. And add this to our HTML file. We have added Font Awesome to our HTML file. Now let's add icons. Let's go to fontawesome.com. I will search logout. These are logout icons. Let's copy the code and paste it just before the sign out text. Similarly, we will search for other icons and we'll put them here. Let's add transaction icon. For the transaction icon, let's search transfer. I will select this one. Copy the code and paste in HTML file. Now for online payment, I will search send. Let's select this one. Copy the code and paste here. Now, for add payee, let's search add. Let's select this one. Copy the code and paste the link. And lastly, for account details, let's search money. Let's select this and paste. Now, let's refresh the page and see how this looks. Here are all these elements. Let's style this first. I will set the position of parent div as relative and the position of child div as absolute. Also, I will add a top padding of 30 pixels. Right padding, 0, and display as flex. Let's set flex direction as column. Now, for the parent div. Let's set its background color as black. Font color, white. A padding of 8 pixels and a border radius of 50%. Let's change the padding to 10 pixels. Also, let's make a cursor as pointer. Let's change the font size to 1.1 rem. Copy all these CSS. Let's create a class called badge and paste all the CSS we just created. Now, I will apply this badge class to our div. We have created some styles for menu items. For this, let's create a new class, menu. Paste all the CSS and add this menu class to our respective div. Let's add some more styles to the menu. I will set the background color as RGBA, 255, 255, 255. And 0.8 for some transparency. Let's also add a border of 1 pixel, solid light gray. And padding of 10 pixels. Let's change the top to 50 pixels and the right to 5 pixels to position it perfectly. Let's set a minimum width to 200 pixels. Let's copy all these styles and paste to the menu class. Now, I want to align the name and the email in the center. Let's set the display as flex. Set flex direction to the column. Align items to center and justify content as the center. Let's also put a bottom border bottom of 1 pixel, solid gray. Copy all these CSS. Now, I will create a class, name, user info, and paste all the CSS we just created. Let's add this class name to our HTML. Let's refresh the page. Let me add some styles to make it visible. Let's add the font color as black. Let's go to the next div. Let's add a font weight, bold. Let's make a class, username, paste the CSS and add this class to our div. Let's refresh the page. Now, let's style the email. Let's set a font size of 0.8 rem. Let's make a class, user email, add the font size and add this class to our div. Let's refresh the page. Now, let's style these menu items. I will set some padding. Vertical padding, 10 pixels, and horizontal padding, 20 pixels. Let's set a minimum width of 200 pixels. Now let's set a border bottom. 1 pixel, solid gray. Now, I will set the text decoration to none. And color to black. Let me copy all these. Now, let's create a selector, menu, A. And paste the style we just created, so that every anchor tag inside the menu will have these styles. Let's refresh the page. And here you can see that the styles are applied to every items inside the menu. But, there are some issues. Some icons are not visible. I think because I selected the paid ones. Let's change them with the icons which are available for free. For account overview, let's select this one. As you can see here, all of these are paid icons, only first one is free. So, let's use the first one. Let's copy this and replace the existing code with this new code. Now, for add payee, let's search add user. Let's select this one. As you can see here, all are paid, except the first one. So, let's copy this code and replace the existing code. Similarly, for transaction, let's search transfer. Let's select this one and paste the code. Now let's refresh the page, and here are all the icons. Let's also add some padding to the icons. I will set a padding of 5 pixels. Now, let's add this to our CSS file. I am creating a selector, menu, and adding the padding inside this, so that every icon inside the menu will have a padding of 5 pixels. Now, I want to set a hovering effect on every item of the menu. So, I am creating a selector, menu, hover. And then inside this I will set a background color, light gray, so that, every time we hover over them, the background color will change. Now refresh the page. As you can see. Now, the hover effect is applied. Now, I want the menu to appear whenever I click on this icon and disappear when the icon is clicked again. For this, I will be adding some JavaScript. You don't have to understand JavaScript code for now. Here, I will add onClick equals toggle and pass this. Let's add some JavaScript here. Function toggle with parameter e. Let's get the display property of first child element, which is our menu. e.firstElementChild.style.display. Here, if it is none, I want to set it as block. And if it is block, I want to set it as none. So, I will say if double equals none. Then set it as block, and if not block, set it as none. And now, let's assign this to the display property. Let's refresh the page. Well, this is not working as expected, because I should have set it as flex and not block. Let's change this to flex. Now, let's refresh the page. As you can see, menu is already here visible when we load the page. But I want this to appear only when we click on the icon. For this, we will add style equals display none. So that, whenever we load the page, it will disappear. As you can see, when we reload the page, the menu disappears. Now, let's create other pages. We have 3 more pages to build. Add payee, online pay and transactions. Let me create 3 new pages. Add pay.html, payonline.html, transaction.html. Now, let's fix the navigation links. Account link is correct. Add payee will point to addpayee.html. For online pay, it will be payonline.html. Transaction link will be pointing to transaction.html. And finally, signout will redirect to login.html. Let's copy the code and paste in the addpayee.html file. Let's remove the card and put an empty card. Let's also copy this code and paste it in payonline.html and transaction.html. As you can see, addPayee has 5 inputs and a button. Let's create the elements. First, I will give it a label, full name. It should be an input. Now, let's create 4 more input fields with labels. This should be account number. Then, email address, phone number, and the last one, nickname. Let's also create a button. Now, let's create Pay Online page. As you can see, here we have a Select Pay dropdown, amount input, no text area, and a button. So, let's create a label, Select Pay, and a dropdown. Let me set the options, J1122334466. Let's create 2 more options. Let's make this Tim 1122334477 and RAM 1122334488. Now, let's create an input, amount. It will be of the type, number, and value equals 0.00. Let's set minimum value of 0.01 and a maximum value of 9,999.99. And for increment, step will be 0.01. The amount will be in dollars, so let's put a dollar sign. Now, let's create a label, note. Then, create a text area, and finally the button. I will label the button, Pay Online. Let's refresh the page. Let's add some styles. We have added some styles for input, let's also use the same for styling our text area and select elements. Now, let's create the transaction screen. As you can see here, we have a title and a grid. Let's create a div with class, card title. Let's give it a title, transaction, 30 days. Now, for the table, I will create 1 TR and 5 TDs. Let's copy and make 4 more TRs. The first row is header, so let's remove TDs and make 5 TH. Let's put the respective labels here. Account, amount, memo, date, and type. For account, I will give it a value, 1122334445. For amount, $10. Tuition fees, for memo, and date, 1/1/2021. And type as credit. I will copy this and replace with other for TRs. Let's do some minor changes here. Let's make it 66. Change this to 11. Year will be 2022. And make it debit. For the next one, let's make it 77. It can be 10.5. Then, gas bill. Change this to 2023. Let's remove the fourth row. Now, let's refresh the page. I want all our tables to have 70 viewport width. So let's change this one to table. Now, let's refresh the page. Let's put a border for TH. So, let's create a selector for TH, and set border bottom as 1 pixel solid black. Now, refresh the page, border is applied. Let's check navigation for all the pages. Add payee. Online pay. And the transaction page. We completed the UI for this bank website. As you see, here we are using hard-coded data. Next, in the upcoming sessions, we will learn how to build database for this website. Also, we will develop SQL procedures to pull data from the actual database.